The SANDF spokesperson now, Rear Admiral Prince Tshabalala. Prince, it's great to talk to you. Thanks very much for coming onto the channel. Where do we begin to understand this story around the apparent defiance of the SANDF chief against the minister of the SANDF? Let's talk about this person whose dismissal was ruled unlawful after sexual harassment claims that were untested. And in fact, he was meant to be reinstated. Has the general refused to do so?
No, we are refuting this allegation. We regard this allegation as unfounded and malicious, to put an emphasis. The colonel concerned was a member of the SANDF, but working for the South African Air Force specifically, and he was called up under this call-up, which is known as a reserve call-up. So he had retired, actually, as part of his package, and then decided, because in the Defence Force we have a regulation that after you have retired, you can be enlisted under the reserve force. So this member did indeed was called up during that time. Unfortunately, there was an incident that involved, as we mentioned, the sexual harassment case against him, and which led for SANDF to make a decision that he be suspended pending the outcome of the investigation. In this case, then the complainant apparently did not want to file cases any longer. Therefore, what should have happened, because he was called up for a period of 6 months, then would have then make a decision through our legal processes that he'll be called up again. So the chief at the moment, because this matter has happened during the previous administration, with the recommendation being done with the previous minister, the chief SANDF needs to appraise the current minister on the legality of the decision to be taken. And that is one of the key matters, because we don't really want to ventilate this thing where we are pouring the merit of the case in the public domain. Ours is to engage first the minister, following the strict military protocol that we as a SANDF do observe. So the chief, in this instance, will have to still appraise the current minister, which is Minister Motshekga, and then after that, a decision will be taken on the future and the outcome of the case. But as far as we are concerned, there are a lot of misinterpretation from the member side on what needs to be done. Therefore, all these things require a legal application, and the processes of the military must be followed to the letter.
The issue of General Maphwanya's trip to Iran is also one that's been in the headlines, hasn't it? What is the response of the SANDF to say that the chief actually breached military neutrality in Iran?
We have pronounced last week, Michelle, where the chief issued a statement that we are no longer going to deliberate on the matter. And I think our statement was very clear. The matter has been discussed. A report has been filed with the Minister of Defence, Angie Motshekga, and the matter ends up there. All the other speculation, we cannot really pronounce on that. As far as we are concerned, the matter is now closed because the minister got a report from the chief.
Let me ask you this, and this, I suppose, it's a very broad question, Admiral. Is the SANDF in crisis from all sides, not only insofar as its systems that are in place, but in terms of its operational abilities, its funding, the lack of apparent clear leadership? Is there a crisis in the SANDF?
No, there's no crisis in the leadership. Yes, funding is a crisis for us because there's many assets that are obsolete that needs to be replaced. There is a crisis in terms of the budget allocation and obviously the tasking that we are expected through our mandate to be doing, but that are not funded. So with that one, we have spoken through many committees of defense. We have made a lot of public statements about the need to fund the defense force adequately. However, on the leadership aspect, we have capable leaders that are still able to take the lead, and we have proven more than once that we have capable generals and admirals that are able to lead this defense force of ours. Ours now is to fund the defense force and be able to, so that they are able to do their mandate, which is in the Constitution.
It sounds like a crisis to me, Admiral. The fact that we have compromised equipment, we have unserviceable shifts, we have a critical shortage of operational aircrafts and pilots. That seems like a crisis.
No, the crisis is maybe with government funding rather than the leadership and the management. It's more with the funding model that the SANDF has to enjoy. Remember, for us to be able to effectively protect and the sovereignty of South Africa, we need to be funded. And many chiefs have expressed themselves. The chief SANDF took a lead in these discussions with the Parliament and National Treasury as well. And these discussions are ongoing. It is well-known fact that we have aging equipment. And as a soldier, we are needing these requirements so that we are able to fulfill our mandate in terms of the Constitution. So there's no crisis as per se who must lead. We are there to ensure that the sovereignty of our people is protected, and even to an extent where we are given a mandate by our people to say, go and do these following tasks, both international tasks and domestic tasks, as well as support the SAPS. However, without the adequate funding model, which the SANDF has clearly expressed itself on many occasions, in many public forums, as well as through intergovernmental engagement, we have always said that the model needs to change of the defense force so that we are able to fulfill our mandate as required by the Constitution. That is all what we can stand in. As to why we are being criticized for things that are absolute, we don't know. Maybe it is the public, that must expect and put pressure on our behalf so that we are adequately funded, and then we can buy the necessary tools of trade, which is our replacement of aging equipment, replacement of buying strategic tools that we would want to explore and continue to safeguard South African interest.
All right. The SANDF spokesperson, Rear Admiral Prince Tshabalala. Unfortunately, that's all the time we have for this discussion. Perhaps next time you can join us in studio and we can have a more wide-ranging discussion on the state of the South African National Defence Force.